Hello and welcome back to Cymru Rails. Today I wanted to talk about my experience of attending the Warley National Model Railway Exhibition 2023. This was actually my inaugural visit. I've never been able to attend the exhibition before. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to attend it as it is the biggest in the country. But before we dive into the main event, let me take you back to what actually sparked the inspiration for me to make this video. A few days after the event, I came across a Reddit post from Reddit user Talon84 who attended Warley and had a rather disappointing experience. They mentioned technical issues with layouts, which, that is always going to happen at exhibitions and can't be avoided. There's always going to be issues like that, but their main things were encounters with other attendees, which some of them had questionable hygiene by the sounds of it and exhibited rude behaviour. And yeah, it was basically this post that got me thinking maybe I should share my own experience, as this was the only post I could actually see on the model train subreddit that actually talked about the exhibition, and a lot of people in the replies were also sharing similar experiences at other exhibitions and Warley. So I thought I'd just make this video to just get all my thoughts down about what I actually experienced while I was there. So while attending the event, I decided to stay at Balsall Common, which is a quaint spot, only a short train journey away from the NEC in Birmingham. I'd recommend this as a location to stay if you're considering staying there and you're not local. This is only a short train journey, so definitely recommend it. And yeah, so the Saturday came around of us attending the event, and I did actually have an early access ticket, which allows you to gain access to the exhibition slightly earlier. I think it was 9:15 you actually get in. So I arrived sort of around 9 o'clock, and I was met with this massive crowd, so we couldn't actually get close to the entrance in order to access the event early. So yeah, the plans didn't quite work out as anticipated, but it wasn't that long of a wait, and the crowd started to shuffle along, and, eventually we did find ourselves within the hall. Probably, not sure, 20 minutes, half an hour later, we were probably inside then, so yeah, it wasn't too long, but recommend, if you actually want to get in with the early access that you're paying for, if you've got an advance ticket, you probably need to arrive a little earlier. That was something I should have considered, but it's definitely a busy event. Attending both days, Saturday and Sunday, turned out to be a wise decision. By Saturday evening, I realised there was much more to explore, and I hadn't even covered half the layouts or explored half the hall. So, a little pro tip to future attendees: if you want to actually see everything, I think you do need to attend both days. I don't think it's possible to see everything in one day unless you're like sprinting around and barely looking at layouts for more than a minute. So trust me though, it is definitely worth it to see all of the layouts and visit all of the stands. So I would definitely recommend attending both days. Now here's where my experience somewhat aligned with Talon84's post, because I was facing a bit of a challenge with my foot while attending, so it was making long walks a bit cumbersome. Fortunately, the event organisers had thoughtfully placed numerous seating areas around. I assume for elderly people that are attending the event, they do need to sit down, so it does allow attendees to take breaks whenever needed. So with my bad foot, I decided to take regular breaks by sitting down in the various seating areas. Often when I arrived at these areas, though, people had covered the seats with their bags and food, and when I asked one person who had their bag lying across two seats if they would mind moving it so myself and my father could sit down, his response was to tut loudly and then begrudgingly move his bag while sighing. It was experiences like this that did bring the overall experience down, which is unfortunate. And I still did have a lovely time, but I felt the need to mention this as I don't quite understand the need for rudeness like this, but yeah, it was not very good. Something else that was mentioned in Talon84's post was people sort of barging in front of one another in order to see the layouts. I did have a little bit of this, but I do have to say though, in order to see the layout, if you wait behind someone for maybe a minute, they will probably move. Often families do not stay at these layouts for more than a couple of minutes, mostly because I assume the children are bored after a minute. So if you're going to stand behind anyone waiting for a spot to see a layout, I'd recommend just waiting behind a family, and they will not be there long, and then you can just sort of take their place when they go. In the post made by Talon84, he does mention how people were just pushing their way in front, but there was a couple of times where I had been waiting, the person in front of me moved, and I went to go and move, and then someone who had just arrived would sort of squeeze in front of me and take the spot that I was about to walk into, and even though I'd been waiting there for some time, they then took that spot. So it was only little things like this. It's not massive, but it is disappointing when you go to these events and this sort of thing happens. But anyway, let's shift focus to the positive side of things. Throughout the event, I had the pleasure of meeting incredible people who share the same passion as this lovely hobby, and one of those people was Chadwick Junction, a channel I have watched quite a bit of his tutorials, and the other person I met was New Junction. He was at the Akira Scale stand because I believe he works for Akira Scale, and he was very lovely, and he even said he recognized my username from commenting, and he was very, very nice. So interacting with fellow enthusiasts like this is really what elevated the entire experience, just feeling comfortable and able to talk to people about this hobby, which is a bit of a niche hobby, so I really enjoyed that. Now let's dive into what is the heart of the exhibition, the layouts themselves. I made it my mission to see every single layout, and you can find this in a lovely result of a video which was 2 hours long, showcasing each layout. So if you missed any layouts or you couldn't attend, please do check out the video. I'd also like to address a common misconception. When I was looking at other people's videos of the exhibition, I saw a comment saying that Warley is absolutely dominated by 00 gauge and there's no representation for any other gauges. However, this is far from the truth, and to set the record straight, while I was walking around, I made note of every single gauge I was looking at. So I've created a graph illustrating the different representation of every gauge at the event, and as you can see, N gauge was particularly noteworthy, holding its ground almost against 00 gauge, and I think everything was sort of equally represented. And I know O gauge is a little bit smaller, but you've got to think O gauge is massive, and some of the layouts there that were O gauge were absolutely really chunky ones, which take up an awful lot of the hall. So you can't have too many O gauge layouts because otherwise there's not going to be any room for anyone else. So I don't know what that comment was really referring to, saying that 00 gauge dominates the hall. I would not say that. If you're interested in any gauge, I definitely think it's worth attending because there's something for everyone here. Now let's shift our attention to the exciting part. What did I actually pick up at Warley 2023? First on the list that I picked up early on Saturday were Metcalf kits for a winter project, which I've been wanting to do for some time. I'm in the process of creating my own layout, which I've always imagined would have Metcalf kits as part of it, because there's nothing else quite like some of those kits that are in the already pre-made market. So soon they will find a place on the model railway layout, and I'll be sure to show them off once they're complete. Next up was Buggles Skelly Station Stand. I couldn't resist grabbing a 3D printed figure of the railway director, which looks an awful lot like the Fat Controller in its painted form. Over the last year I've actually got into painting miniatures, and it's become a bit of a new hobby for me, so I'm looking forward to painting a miniature that will actually find a home on the model railway layout, so I'll be sure to show this off once it's completed. Additionally, at the Buggles Skelly Station stand, I also bought a Northwestern Railway pin badge, a beautifully designed and absolute must-have for anyone who has that sort of appreciation for the railway series. And I also found this other charming fridge magnet of Thomas the Tank Engine pulling Annie and Clarabelle in the sunset. I thought it was a lovely little purchase to have as a memento of attending the exhibition. And the crown jewel of everything I bought there was an actual bargain. I've been looking for a Class 57 as part of my Arriva Trains Wales collection, which I've been slowly working through trying to collect everything. I've put off purchasing a Class 57 online, as in the market online, it's even on eBay and other retailers, it's normally £150 to £200. As I was actually going round Warley and looking at other retail stands, I saw this Class 57 going for around £150, and I thought, I don't think I'm going to be picking up one of those at this event. And then I came across the stand known as the Junction Box, who is a retailer I had not heard of before, but they sell second-hand locomotives, and it was here priced at £90, a considerable steal compared to some of the other stands that were there literally right next door to them selling it. After I made this purchase then, I actually walked to the next stand that was next to it, and there it was again, with a sticker funnily enough on the box saying reduced at 130. And even though I know it's secondhand, that you can think of it as a bit of a gamble, they assured me that everything had been tested and it all runs, and yes, since I got it home, I've tried it on the layout and it runs like an absolute dream. So yeah, I'm really glad to add this one to the collection. To wrap it all up, Warley is, in my opinion, undeniably a must-attend event for any model railway enthusiast in the UK. Despite a few bumps in the journey, the connections made, the layouts witnessed, and the bargains to be bought there really made this experience that goes beyond the price of admission, in my opinion. So I just wanted to make this video just to summarise my thoughts. Hopefully, if you're thinking of attending next year, this has given you some ideas of what you have to expect. So what are your thoughts on Warley? If you attended this year, I would love to know how your experience was, so please do comment below and let me know. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit like, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, or videos on heritage railways, or more model railway exhibitions, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos in the new year, so please do subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thank you for watching.